Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, question by the sages. Today's text is 21. Kalimagatam agyaya kshetrismin vaisnavevayam ashinadhyaka shatrena kathayam shakshana hare. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length, the transcendental message of God, and in this way perform sacrifice. Purport. This age of Kali is not at all suitable for self-realization, as was Satya Yuga, the Golden Age, or Treta or Dvarapa Yugas, the Silver and Copper Ages. For self-realization, the people in Satya Yuga, living a lifetime of 100,000 years, were able to perform prolonged meditation. And in Treta Yuga, when the duration of life was 10,000 years, self-realization was attained by the performance of great sacrifice. And in Dvapara Yuga, when the duration of life was for 1,000 years, self-realization was attained by worshipping the Lord. But in the Kali Yuga, the maximum duration of life being 100 years only, and that combined with various difficulties, the process of self-realization is recommended by hearing and chanting of the holy names and fame and pastimes of the Lord. The sages of Naimisaranya began this process for the devotees of the Lord. So they prepared themselves to hear the pastimes of the Lord over a period of 1,000 years. By the example of these sages, one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of the Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. Other attempts are simply a waste of time, for they do not give any tangible result. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu preached this system of Bhagavata Dharma, and he recommended that all those who were born in India should take the responsibility of broadcasting the messages of Lord Sri Krishna, primarily the message of Bhagavad Gita. And when one is well established in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, he can take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment in self-realization. Gam karoti vatalam bhangam langate grimyat kripatamam mande Shri Gurum Dina Charanam Kalim agatam akyaya shitrismin vaisnavevayam ashina dhyaka shatrena kathayam shakshana hare. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of God, and in this way perform sacrifice. So in Kali Yuga, is the prescribed method for worshipping the Lord is by chanting and absorbing ourselves in the holy names of Krishna. And we know Kali Yuga is extremely degraded. Everything is going downhill very, very fast. In the 16th chapter of first canto, we'll come to, Parikshit Maharaj, he's sitting in his palace and he hears discrepancies in his kingdom. And he immediately says, okay, he goes out and he conquers the whole world, destroys all the miscreants and put them right. And then he comes to one place, there's the cow being beaten by, cow and bull being beaten by the Sudra, dressed as a kshatriya, as a king. And he immediately chastises Kali. Before Parikshit Maharaj comes, Dharma, the bull, is asking the cow, Mother Earth, Bhumi, why she is crying and what's happening. And he's giving all kind of suggestions. Are you crying because I'm now standing on only one leg and 3 of my legs are broken? Or are you crying because of the meat eaters will in the future exploit you? And why there's no yagyas to the demigods, so the demigods are not satisfied. So he gives so many reasons. The goddess of learning is being handled by unqualified persons. So he gives all these reasons. So the goddess of learning is being handled by people who have no real knowledge. And that's what we see today. The people in leadership in society, they are often the most degraded. Right? They have some materialistic knowledge, but they have no real knowledge. They have some information, because we're living in information age, where knowledge is practically vacant. There's no real knowledge anymore. And that's also one of the symptoms mentioned in the 12th canto of Kali Yuga, that the Vedas are practically non-existent in society, and people are only taking shelter of mundane knowledge. And that leads to irreligiosity. And when irreligiosity is rampant in society, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, if 3/3 of the population are irreligious, then the whole society becomes, or the situation becomes hell for the animals. And that's actually what this story we just mentioned, the bull and the cow, is emphasizing. That it's the cow and the bull. We know they are symbolic. They're not real. Right? It's not all in Bhagavatam that is real. This is a symbolic, Prabhupada mentioned. It's a symbolic cow and bull. So they are represented, and the bull is, of course, as we know, dharma, religion, and that is being beaten by this culprit, by Kali. Is beating the cow and the bull. So we know Mother Earth is giving all the milk in form of vegetables and trees and fruits and everything. She's giving her milk in that way. And it's said there that she is crying, hankering and longing for some grass in the field. And that's, in society today, what already happens. It's interesting that these things in Bhagavatam is gradually happening. It's mentioned that in those ages, the sages there, the rishis, they could not even imagine that there would be slaughterhouses and what we have today, that the cows would be mistreated like they are today. What happened there was completely unheard of. Kali was beating a cow and a bull, and therefore Parikshit Maharaj immediately he wanted to kill the culprit. So the grass, she's longing for some grass in the field. And that's today, I read that I think it's 76% of all the cows, they never see grass. They are imprisoned for their whole lives in these small cages inside some hangar, right, where they're standing there and just being completely exploited. Every day they're just coming with these milking machines and taking out the milk by these artificial means and torturing them and giving them all kind of diseases, because these milking machines, they want to take every drop, right? So she get all kind of infections in her udder. What? Udder, yeah. And you know, immediately the cows, they give birth to a calf, like within hours the calf is taken away. Sometimes they're very merciful and they allow them to have for 1 or 2 days. Right? Otherwise the calf is just taken away immediately. And it's said that and I saw actually, that the cows, they are literally crying, right? Tears. Sometimes tears are coming from their eyes and they're screaming for their calf, so they become hoarse. Like they can't practically scream anymore because they're just standing constantly, like a mother would, if a human mother would, if her little baby child was taken away. So all these things in Bhagavatam, it's so interesting that we see them happening now in society. All these things are gradually manifesting itself. So if we ever doubt, which we shouldn't, but if we ever doubt Bhagavatam is real, just look around you. Or go to I'd like to read those for you actually. Go to 12th canto. I took notes of the most important of them. What will happen, what we see in society. Of course, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength and memory will all diminish day by day. Wealth will be considered a sign of man's good birth, proper behavior or fine qualities. So this we also have today, right? It's only money. If a man have money, he can do practically anything and everything we see in society, right? Whatever they can just pay them and get away with anything. Law and justice will apply only to the basis of one's power. Men and women will become attracted merely because of superficial attraction. And success in business will depend on this seed. So when I'm reading this, please try to see the connection in society today. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex. And a man will be known as a brahmana just by wearing a thread. A person's propriety will be seriously questioned if it does not earn a good living. One who is very clever in juggling words will be considered a learned scholar. A person will be judged unholy if he does not have money. Hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreements. People today can go into Las Vegas and just drive-in marriages. You don't even have to leave your car. A person will think he is fit to appear in public if he has merely taken a bath. Interesting, because in Vedic society, people would they will clean themselves like mantras and doing cleaning themselves with mantras and water and like this. Today we take a bath, but how many today are taking a bath before they get to work? I think it's very rare, right? So even that, like Bhagavatam saying, that will be the degradation of Kali Yuga, is that people will appear in public if they have taken a bath. But now they appear in public even if they are not taking a bath. A sacred place will be taken to consist of no more than a reservoir of water and located at a distance. This is beautiful verse. Yashyatma buddhi kunape tadatuke swadha kalatradisu bhaumaichati yatirtha buddhi salilena kaichit janeshu abigesu sa eva gokaraha. Yashyatma buddhi means to consider, because this is repeated again and again in this verse. Yajatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke. Kunape means the body. Tridhatuke consisting of three doshas, vayu, vata, pitta and kapha. Yajatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke. Svati kalatradi, again di, buddhi. Svati kalatradisu bhauma ityadi. And consider women their own, or wife their own. And their birth to be their birth country they're born in to be their own, like they belong to that country. Upadis. Syatma buddhi kunapeta like svadi kalatradisu bhauma itadi. Yatirtha buddhi salilena kaichit. And never go to a tirtha. Yatirtha buddhi salilena kaichit, only to take a bath. So that's not why we are going. People say, well, I'm going to India, I'll go and take my bath in the Ganga, and I'll go and take my bath in the Yamuna. Of course we do, because it's very purifying. But also we heard recently in what we are reading in first canto here, first chapter, that the Ganges and Yamuna sanctify only after prolonged use, whereas the Bhagavatam immediately has effect. So people go to a holy place. Why? Not to take a shower or go to Ganga Yamuna, not to take a bath, but to Janesha Abhigesu or Eva Gokara, to hear from the qualified persons. And people who are not, people who are misdirected and think that they go to the place just to take a bath and then everything is taken care of, they're like cows and asses, Bhagavatam says. So, but this is people will go like a sacred place. A tirtha will consist no more than a reservoir of water located in the distance. You know the famous one, beautiful depend on what? one's hairstyle. That's the only thing in Kali Yuga. It's the external beauty. Right? There's no more, because real beauty comes from within. And this external beauty is just like, okay, how they have beautiful hair, or how they and they do all these things artificial now. They have operations and get bigger breast and skin taken away and cut up in the neck, right, and tied in the neck, so that they can look beautiful even when they're in old age. So all these things, we see them around us right now. And this is predictions in the 12th canto, where Bhagavatam predicts all these things will happen in Kali Yuga. As mentioned before, the Rishis, they were completely, this cannot happen. So when we hear of the more degraded ones, or more serious ones, one is that people will live to max 50 years. So this is not there now. We know people are living longer than 50 years. But that will happen. It's just a matter of time. Now we know the age is maybe around 78 or something like that, 78 years. But that will degrade more and more until it's 50 years. And Prabhupada mentioned in the lecture we heard, not yesterday, but the lecture before, we heard Prabhupada. He said that a grand old, 20 to 30 years old will be a grand old man. So all these things gradually are happening, and even those who haven't happened yet, we can see them coming. Just by seeing how everything is degraded, we can see it's coming. Food are becoming more and more poisonous, right? And the air is becoming more and more poisonous, and the demons are becoming more and more powerful. And they have all these plans out in the open. The plans is out in the open. They want to degrade people in this age so that they can use them as slaves. That's their plan. And that's practically always been the plans of the demons. Some people are not fully convinced of what is happening in the world today, and they think, oh, it's just imagination, or it's just whatever. But these things has also happened. They always happen. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they were terrorizing the universes, right? And destroying everything, using people as their slaves. Even the demigods. This is not there today, right? The demigods are not our slaves. The people of the demons of this world are not capable of controlling the demigods. But Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they were controlling the demigods. Hiranyaksha, he just raised his eyebrows. He could get the sun to shine, or he could get the clouds to come, or he could get rain to come. They would completely obey his every word, his every sign, because he was so powerful. So the demons today, they're not so powerful, but they are powerful in organization. And that's also where we can become powerful, by organization, by becoming organized and standing up against the demons and explaining people about the demons. And most of all, explaining the people, as we hear here, the sages, they see Kali Yuga has now begun. What do? They sit down and they hear Bhagavatam. So this is the solution. And Prabhupada said in the purport, what is it? You remember this? But in Kali Yuga, the maximum duration of life, 100 years, combined with various difficulties, the process of self-realization is recommended by hearing and chanting the holy names and pastimes of the Lord. The sages of Naimisaranya began this process for the devotees of the Lord, so they prepared themselves to hear the pastimes over a period of 10,000 years. By the example of these sages, one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. So the only way for self-realization. So what is chanting not working anymore? Because that's hearing Bhagavatam. And we hear, as I mentioned before, Sutta Goswami and the sages, they are sitting down hearing Bhagavatam from Sutta Goswami. And Parikshit Maharaj, he's sitting down hearing Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. And they are doing this out of need. Parikshit Maharaj has 7 days until he will be cursed and die. And the sages from Naimisharanya, they understand now Kali Yuga is done. It's coming. Not done, but coming. So what are they doing? They sit down and they hear Bhagavatam. That's the solution. Because in Bhagavatam everything is explained. We hear it here. If this will not give faith in the Bhagavatam, that we hear all these predictions in a literature written down more than 5,000 years ago, giving all these predictions that was practically impossible to predict. Who would believe let's go a few thousand years back? Who would believe that the cows would be mistreated like that? Completely unheard of, as Prabhupada mentioned it. So Kali Yuga is we have the Bhavaushadach, we have the healing herb against the whole Kali Yuga, and that's here in Bhagavatam. But what about chanting? And Prabhupada says in other place that they go together. You cannot have one without the other. So if we are hearing Bhagavatam, we are constantly told we should chant Hare Krishna. And Krishna came in the Kali Yuga as Caitanya Mahaprabhu, as we know, with this one purpose, to give the chanting available for everyone. Krishna's what's this? Krishna Vanam Tvisa Krishna Sangopangashtha Pashnam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayaya Yajantihi Sumidasaha. Sumidasaha, those who are intelligent, Sumidasaha means brain substance, Prabhupada says. So those who have brain substance, Sumidasaha, a lot of brain substance, what do? Yagya. They do yagya. Yagyai Sankirtana Prayaya. What kind of yagya? Sankirtan. Chanting of the holy names. And how do they perform this yagya, or where do they get it from? Krishna Vanam Tvisa Krishna Sangopangashta Pasadam. Krishna Vanam, one who's constantly chanting Vanam, 2 syllables, Krishna. Krishna Vanam Tvisa Krishna. He's not golden. Oh, sorry, he's golden. He's not blackish, he's not Krishna, he's golden, Tvisa. Sangopangashta, and he comes together with his associates, weapons, etc. So what are the weapons of Caitanya Mahaprabhu? Prabhupada says it is beauty. So extremely beautiful, and that's why we hear in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavatam that whenever they just saw Caitanya Mahaprabhu, especially in South India, they would become pure devotees, chanting spontaneously, and then by this beauty will just be so contaminating that whoever saw them those who saw Caitanya Mahaprabhu would start from spontaneously chanting, and then who saw them would also start spontaneously chanting. So this is the power, like Caitanya Mahaprabhu came and gave this powerful process. And if we become pure like by chanting, that's what is mentioned of an Uttamadikari. People just see him. They just what is this? Just a moment, just a moment's association. Yeah. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Kevalam Kalavanasti. No, that's not it.
Sarusanga, Sarusanga, Sarusanga.
Lava Mantra, Sarusanga,
Sarvasiddhi.
Thank you. Yeah. That just an animation, or just 1/16 of a second association of a saintly person, of a sadhu, is enough. So that's the purity. People are looking for solutions, especially now in Kali Yuga. People are looking for solutions, and we have it here, the Bhagavatam. We have the solution. We have the solution for people to turn around this Kali Yuga, because it's possible. We are in Kali Yuga, but how the Kali Yuga will progress is very much up to the devotees, because we have the means, again, the Bhavaushadach, the medicine against Kali Yuga. So when Parikshit Maharaj he saw Kali beating the cow, he immediately said, how dare you? And he took up his sword and was just about to kill him. And then Kali, very, very cowardly, he took off his royal dress and fell on his knees and begged forgiveness of Parikshit Maharaj, and please, please protect me. So these demons, they are not really powerful. Hiranyakashipu, he was powerful, but Krishna came and took care of him. But these powerful in modern society, they're not really that powerful. They're not intelligent. They're comparative to many so-called normal people in society. They're intelligent, right? But they're not really intelligent. They're quite stupid because they're Kali Yuga products. So everyone in this age is quite stupid. Most of these people, they might not even understand they're not this body. That's quite stupid. Right? Not even having that basic understanding. They have no understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's quite stupid. So in that sense they're very stupid, but again they're very powerful because they're organized. And they are performing yajnas. They're not performing the right yajnas, but they're performing yajnas. And we know they're doing all these rituals and demonic sacrifices. So Parikshit Maharaj, he said, I'll kill you. And Kali said, no, please don't, please don't. And then he said, okay, but you cannot stay in my kingdom. That's a king. You know, he said, we have inherited the fame of Arjuna, meaning, okay, if you take shelter of me, I'm a Kshatriya, I will not kill you. Because that's the etiquette. But you cannot stay in my kingdom, because my duty as a king, as an emperor, is to protect the citizens. All the citizens, including the cow and the bulls, including the animals, including the trees. Prabhupada says, Pragya, everyone should be protected. That's the duty of a king, not only the human beings. And then Kali said, but where can I go? You're such a powerful king. Where can I go? And then he gives them, okay, you can stay where the, practically where the principles are being, transgressed or compromised. And then he says, but that is not happening in your kingdom. So what to do then? Okay, you can stay where there's wealth. Because wealth in Kali Yuga contaminates everything. So these things will also happen just as there's wealth. Because people do not know how to use wealth. And everything has to be purified. When Nanda Maharaj, he understood that when he got Krishna as his son, he said he performed these samskaras for purification. And one of the things he mentioned, that wealth is purified by giving in charity. So unless people get wealth and they're not giving in charity for proper causes, spreading Krishna consciousness, that wealth degrades them. So Parikshit Maharaj, he's asking the bull, who are these people? Who is this culprit attacking you? On who are you? And he says, you must be Dharma, because you will not tell who is killing you, who is hurting you. He says, Dharma, he starts speaking all kinds, I don't know. I don't know what is the cause of my suffering. There's so many causes. Some say it's karma, there's all these different philosophies in the art of time. All these different philosophies, Dharma mentioned, can be this, can be this, can be this. And Parikshit Maharaj, oh, you must be Dharma, because you know the rule that if somebody says, this is the one hurting me, this is the one giving me pain, he will suffer the same consequence. So let's just end by see if we can remember what are the 4 legs of Dharma. You remember? Yeah. Cleanliness. Austerity. Truthfulness.
And
it's always the most difficult. Huh?
Religiosity.
Oh. It's always the most difficult, this one, for some reason. Mercy. And what are counteracting them? Austerity is counteracted by pride.
I'm sorry?
Austerity is counteracted by pride. So if you're proud, you can perform austerities, but then you lose that austerity, the benefit of that austerity.
Okay, because
so austerity, mercy is counteracted by
destroyed would be
destroyed.
Counteracted is like in
so destroyed. Mercy is destroyed by
slaughterhouses.
Yeah, by slaughterhouses, by killing animals, slaughterhouses, and
eating.
Yeah, it says meat eating, same.
Mm.
And cleanliness, by too much female association, and of course truthfulness by falsehood. And that's everything in gambling and so that's why we have the 4 principles, because and Prabhupada says every sannyasi, brahmanas, everything like that should follow this very rigidly, because that keeps Kali away, so to say. So Kali Yuga is here, and the process is Sankirtan to counteract this degraded age. Any comments or questions?
We were speaking about the sages were having this yajna. First they try for fire sacrifices, and then it was Shravanam. So I think it was 1,000 years, wasn't it? You mentioned at the beginning 1,000 years. Later you said 10,000 years. I think it was 1,000, but at least it was 1,000 years of just hearing, right?
Yeah.
Very long time. So, and we know in the this is like around 5,000 years ago, at the end of Dvapara Yuga, and the life expectancy at that time was 1,000 years. So in that sense it could have been early. How is that 1,000 years? If they were living 1,000 years, were they the whole lifetime listening to the Bhagavatam? There's something that for me doesn't add up there.
I think that is the idea. Of course they are not babies when they're sitting in Naimasaranya. But I think it's the idea, it's of course close to 1,000 years, and it's not like also Kali Yuga is 100 years. Some people get older, most people doesn't. So, but it must be the same in Dvapara Yuga. Maybe people could get thousands, maybe up to 1,500 years. And these sages were most likely very healthy persons. So it could be that it's just approximately 1,000 years. So maybe they were already 100 years old or something like that.
And then my question is about the relativity of time, because my question is, they were living like 1,000 years in previous. Would they experience those 1,000 years like we would experience 1,000 years, or would they experience those 1,000 years like we experience our 100 years? Because we know it's 10 times more when you go back to previous ages, right? 1,000 in Dvapara Yuga, 10,000 years in Treta Yuga, and 100,000 in Satya.
Yeah.
So would they all experience that lifetime in the same way as like we would experience our 100?
Good question. I think it's so. I'm not sure. Prabhupada says everyone is living 100 years. A fly is maybe living only 24 hours, but they experience 100 years in that. So I think it's the same here, but I'm not completely sure. I can't remember reading that exactly, but I think it's the same. That it feels like the same. 100 years now in Dvapara Yuga will feel the same, even though they're living 1,000. I think it is like that. And the same in the heavenly planets. You're living so long, but they're also just living 100 years. So yeah.
I was just thinking that there are still. I think these 100 years is people in general, and then by the process of different meditations and so forth, you can expand this general age of the time, because we see yogis in the Himalayas that they control their breathing and so forth, and then families have been seeing the same guru for hundreds of years, and they do keep hair as evidence that this hair could only have been grown in hundreds of years. So, and it's the same portrait, it's the same person. 300 years is not impossible in Kali Yuga. So by the process of meditation and keeping purified and attending recitation of the holy name, I think that this can be transgressed. Prolonged, yes.
Definitely. Prabhupada also says that life is measured not in years but in breath.
Yes.
So you have so and so many breaths, like given by your karma.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, we know people that practice, like Vyasadeva is still living, right? So he's thousands of years
Yeah.
old, and
Exactly.
Markandeya Rishi. So there are people who can transcend that. Of course, it's a material law, and that can be transgressed by the devotees and demigods and by Krishna, of course.
Prabhupada even comments that in sexual interaction you waste so much breathing, so people will die much faster actually because they are engaging too much in this heavily breathing. He comments on everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.